and welcome to Forays into Forage, hosted by me, David McTaggart. I'm a graduate student in forage breeding at the University of Saskatchewan, and this is a series where we get to cover all things forage related, from research and extension of new technology for farmers, ranchers, and scientists, to how forages can benefit the environment and society as a whole. I hope you enjoy. The goal for our presentation here today is to be able to learn how to use Pix4D capture to conduct planned drone flights in areas that you want to use. The equipment that this tutorial is based off is using a DJI Matrice 200 V2 drone as your platform, along with a MicaSense Red Edge MX as your sensor, collecting 5 different light bands at red, green, blue, near infrared, and red edge light bands. Our steps in the process that we're going to examine here today are first, logging into Pix4D capture, creating a flight through setting our perimeter and proper settings for your needs, setting your sensor to auto trigger in the MicaSense sensor app, initiating a flight, and then also duplicating a flight if you'd like to fly that same area a second time. So once you've downloaded the Pix4D capture app, open it up. This is assuming that you've already created a Pix4D account. Log in, and then we'll be ready to map our flight. So once logged in, we're going to click on that Polygon for 2D Maps button. Once you're looking at the project grid, go and click the target in the bottom left corner of the screen, and that will bring the app to your location so you can start to map. From here, you can walk around the edge of your trial and adjust the corners on the map to where you step. I like to walk about 20 feet wider than the edges of the trial to assure adequate coverage once I fly the drone. As you can see, on the far left side is where we can adjust the altitude that will fly in meters. Now to adjust some settings by clicking on that gear in the top right corner. I typically use a camera angle of 25 degrees because I fly quite slowly. My overlap is often set at about 86% front and side, and my speed at the normal setting, which is about 0.7 meters per second. All right, and so now that we have our flight mapped out, it is time to set up our drone sensor for auto trigger. And why we need to do this is because in Pix4D capture, unlike with things like drone deploy, Pix4D capture doesn't actually trigger your sensor to take pictures. So you have to set this up in the MicaSense sensor app for this to happen automatically. Because otherwise, as I learned in my first few missions, is that if you don't set up auto trigger, your drone will fly around and it won't record any pictures. And that's a problem. First off, I think everybody now, this is Pi the dog. She is sleeping. She's not my dog, but she's my landlady's dog, and she is here supervising our work today. Say hello, Pi. Hello, yeah. There we go. No quite belly rubs yet. But, so as you can see, we have our drone turned on, and I did that by clicking in at the back there. And we also have our sensor mounted and plugged in. And so that means that it will be putting out a Wi-Fi signal. So now we're looking at my computer here, and if we go into the internet category, we can see that there is a Wi-Fi network for my Red Edge MX sensor. I've already connected here, but often the password for these types of things is MicaSense if this is your first time logging in. So once we have logged into the MicaSense camera app, we can go into basic configuration here to adjust the auto capture modes. So we can use either timer-based auto capture or overlap-based auto capture. Overlap is what the MicaSense company suggests to use because it will assure that your minimum standards of image overlap are met. So the camera won't take another picture until it's reached that point of overlap. So like I mentioned earlier, I typically like to run around 85% overlap. Most of my flights are conducted around that 15 meters or 50 feet altitude for my target altitude. Now, what target altitude tolerance means is that the sensor will start to record pictures once it is within that range of your target altitude. And so here, I have 5 meters entered. So what that means is the sensor will start to record pictures once it is above 10 meters. So that will, once it is higher than 10 meters while it's ascending at the beginning of the flight, it will record pictures, and those will continue to be recorded until the drone descends below 10 meters at the end of the flight. Now the other auto capture mode, timer based, it will trigger the drone or the sensor to take pictures after a specific time. And the shortest that you can do with a MicaSense Red Edge MX sensor is once every second. Now, the aspects of target altitude and target altitude tolerance are the same with timer-based auto capture as they are with overlap-based auto capture. To duplicate a flight, click on your project list in the Pix4D home screen. From there, select the flight you would like to duplicate. And once you're there, you can tell if it's the correct one by if you're at that location, your blue GPS dot will show up there. Important factors to check when you want to duplicate the flight is to make sure your perimeter is correct. Do this by walking around. And then also check those important settings like your altitude, the angle of your camera, the overlap of your pictures, in addition to the speed that you want to fly at. You can also adjust the compass angle you fly at by putting your finger in the middle of the flight and spinning it around in order to fly perpendicular to the wind direction.